Texas Tech dominates BYU. Jake, how would you describe Texas Tech's performance opposed to BYU? Like, how much of a difference is there?
Oh, I think there's a big difference. I mean, I think Tech came prepared with a game plan defensively to hold BYU down. I think they executed that game plan flawlessly, quite frankly. I mean, I thought that their defense was more than as advertised. I think that they were just ready to go. And you would expect that playing at home, but it's one thing to say it and another thing to do it. And they absolutely did it. And then, on the other side for BYU, I felt like you got to that point as an offense where, you just didn't have the answer. That was the problem. We can sit here and sugarcoat it and break down X's and O's and we will. But the reality is that you got to a point in this game where nothing you were doing offensively worked. Right? You tried running it a certain way. You tried some RPO. You tried some passing game. You tried, running Bear Bachmeier. But ultimately, none of that worked. And the reason none of it worked is because Texas Tech is a very disciplined unit on defense, and they don't have, a lot of flaws that way. So I just feel like you got to this place where you reached your ceiling as an offense, and you were like, uh-oh. Like, we don't really have the ability to throw it down the field. We don't really have the ability to manipulate the safeties to open our receiver up. We don't really have the ability to run it the way we want to run it when LJ only gets 10 carries because he's not 100%. Like, that's the problem. So, I mean, how do I compare these two? I mean, I think it was about as good as you can play if you're Texas Tech defensively. And I think you reached your ceiling as an offense for BYU.
Yeah, I think when it is as clear and defined as we saw this weekend in Lubbock, that the quarterback is going to be the deciding difference in what BYU is able to do this year, because you saw an elite Texas Tech defense dominate Bear Bachmeier. And this is the first time that, and I think we've talked about this at length about Bear, this is the first time he looked like a guy who had no answer, no ability, no capability to impact the football game. That's what you saw. And I know that is not popular amongst BYU fans. I know that this weekend has been tough. Texas Tech fan was not kind to BYU fan on the interwebs, as you would expect, but I don't think BYU should be holding their head, because I actually don't think there was that much of a talent disparity between BYU and Texas Tech. What I saw was a Texas Tech defense that did whatever it wanted to do. And I think the scary thing is BYU looked like the moment was too big. The special teams mistakes, unforgivable.
Out of a veteran.
Well, veteran or not, it doesn't even matter. I mean, you can't shank punts, you can't miss field goals, you can't fumble kicks. Like, just the mistakes that continue to happen in a game of this magnitude, it just tells you that I don't know, is the right way to say it, that this team got out on its skis a little bit? Maybe. Did they roll into Lubbock overconfident? No. What it looked like is they rolled into Lubbock and got intimidated in pregame warmup. That's what it looked like. It looked like BYU came out incredibly timid. It looked like Bear knew that he was going to get his ass kicked and did not, this idea that I put forward where we talked about Bear not reading defenses. Well, that came back to get you today, because Texas Tech took away Parker Kingston. Specifically, you could tell Texas Tech's defense was going to be very physical at the line of scrimmage, and they essentially took away Parker Kingston early in this game, and Bear had no answer for that. And I think the hard part is that you just don't have the time to develop a quarterback on the fly in this game. And it's very difficult to deal with that. You look at Bears numbers, and the 23 of 38 looks a lot better than it was The problem is the 4.9 yard average per completion. That was the issue. And even more than that, the average depth of target was 2.6 yards because he's not trying to get the ball down the field. He's not capable of reading zone man. He several times made RPO mistakes where he should have pulled the ball back and didn't, and it cost them dearly. This was a quarterback in Bear Bachmeier who simply was not prepared for what BYU was going to face defensively from Texas Tech. And I think Texas Tech showed you why they are arguably the best defense in the country. And this is not coaching. This is nothing other than Bear Bachmeier is a true freshman who was not ready for this moment in his development. And I think, and I don't say this often about Aaron Roderick, I think he did a really nice job in being diverse inside the playbook. I think the trying to get LJ Martin to the outside, I would have liked to have seen more of that. But Bear, there's that play in the second quarter, I believe it was, where Bear needs to pitch that ball outside. And LJ Martin's got a first down and probably way more than that. Probably would have been a 12 to 15 yard pickup. He kept it and he gained 2 yards. And they wind up punting the football. That's not on Aaron Roderick. That's on LJ Martin. The idea that Bear Bachmeier was just simply not keeping his eye underneath. You could tell he felt pass rush coming, and it cost them so many times because he simply never looked left far enough to see that his running backs were open on a consistent basis in the flat. And so he's consistently trying to figure out where he's going to run to when he should be trying to figure out where he's going to throw to. The good news is all of these things will be fixed with experience. This hopefully, and I would believe so, this was a huge learning experience for Bear Bachmeier, and I can only think a loss like this is going to make him better.
Yeah, I mean, it really should make him better, but I think that look, the expectations don't change with this loss, right? Like the expectations for BYU, all the hey, we're better than Tech, we're the best team in the Big 12, like, obviously you can't say that anymore. And now we get to the moment that I specifically referenced on Friday, which is, hey, you lost this game and you didn't lose it in a close one. You got dominated. How does this team bounce back, right? How do we get to a place where you're able to go and beat TCU, Cincinnati, and UCF? Yeah. And I have real concerns about the Cincinnati game. I think you'll beat TCU and UCF, but the Cincinnati game is nothing to play with, especially if you beat TCU bouncing back. It is nothing to play with. And I think that you're fortunate to be where you are in the AP. I think that they gave you a solid spot. They didn't bounce you into the 20s or, treat you harshly or anything like that. But I just think that the hard part is as a program right now, you are in the very same position you were in last year. This is the very same position that you found yourself in this time of year, 3 games to go to get into the CFP. Can you get the job done? So that's why I say, like, I expect this team to get the job done. And I assume a 1-loss BYU team, excluding the results of the Big 12 championship game, would get into the CFP. But after the way we saw BYU treated by the CFP committee last year, again, I'm just going to keep saying I don't think it's a guarantee that you get in right here today. I think it does depend on what happens. And I think you need to win out to give yourself the absolute positive best resume possible. If you can say, hey, we lost to the inevitable Big 12 champion and that's it, okay, cool, you're in the CFP. I think at that point you're fine. But we need to see how does Bear Bachmeier bounce back? When does LJ Martin get back to being him? Like these are the things that I'm waiting to see out of this team.
Yeah, I think they're going to be fine. I mean, I think when the problem here is how do you mentally recompose Bear Bachmeier? Because the hard part watching this game was you saw his inability to process things moving forward. He had an average time to throw of 2.9 seconds. And for frame of reference, he has not had that much time to throw a football in drop back more than he had Saturday at any point during this season. He had more time to throw against Texas Tech than he did any other game this year. And the only one that was close was Iowa State last week at a 2.7. And he did less with more time because he cannot at this point process. So what really worries me is what I've been talking about. Can BYU run the table having him read wide receiver instead of read defense? That's a big question. They need to, in my opinion, if I'm BYU and I am going home for a night game on ESPN, they probably need to end some careers. They need to bury people. They need to disengage people's souls from their rectums against Texas Tech. They need violence. They need, just without question, to prove a point, because I completely disagree that this one loss alone will eliminate BYU from the playoffs. And I think if you lose at Texas, or if you lose at home against TCU, you're out of the playoffs. That ship has sailed. I don't believe they will. I believe in Jay Hill. I believe in Kalani Sitake. I believe in Bear Bachmeier, especially at home when there's a lot less pressure and a lot lower expectation. I think this will be a bounce back game, and I think you have got to do everything that you can do to find your way to the Big 12 championship game and a rematch with Texas Tech, because my feeling is that game will be significantly different than the one we saw this week.
Yeah, I mean, my concern with that is that you don't go from not being able to read a defense to being able to distribute, and work with what Tech gives you defensively in a couple of weeks. That's the biggest thing, right? And if I'm a BYU fan, this is what I'm looking for these next 3 games. I'm looking for development in this area of Bears game, because it really is, excluding mechanical development, because the throwing on a straight leg thing screwed him multiple times against Texas Tech. There were multiple awful decisions that he made that were then compounded because he just has awful throwing mechanics. But beyond that, mentally, the ability to say, okay, cool, I've got a back standing to my right, and this is my formation, and this is what the defense is. Where should I go here? What should I expect? What should I do? You don't just turn into that guy in I guess, what would that be, a month's time, in the Big 12 championship game. And that's my concern, is that, hey, you lost this game, and allegedly, and this is what BYU fans counting on, you're not going to get penalized if you lose to Tech again in the Big 12 championship game. But is it really a ringing endorsement to say, hey, yeah, you lost to the same team twice in one season, and those are your 2 losses?
But I think the thing that you don't underestimate how it feels to be Bear Bachmeier in the middle of that catastrophe. Because I've been around quarterbacks, and I've been around this game long enough to know that you never forget what it felt like under center, or in the shotgun, because why the fuck would we ever put a quarterback under center?
Yeah, who does that anymore?
But my point is, I think that feeling that Bear Bachmeier is going to be stuck with, like it is a thorn in your fingertip, I'm telling you, that doesn't leave you, and it teaches you things. And I think I think this is where we find out who Bear Bachmeier is. We saw it with Jake Retzloff, who I will continue to compare the two, because again, I would say if Jake Retzloff was on this team, they probably win that game. because we do need to talk about some Texas Tech issues. But I look at how Jake Retzloff handled the Oklahoma loss 2 years ago, and he came back a completely different player. This game, this past Saturday in Lubbock, will fundamentally change who Bear Bachmeier is as a quarterback, as a competitor, as a football player, and as a guy. It will change him. He was awful in that game. He was everything that it terrifies you about playing a true freshman. But now you're laying on the ground and you're in your lowest moment. And now it's time to get up, dust yourself off, and go beat the hell out of TCU. And you have to have that mentality. But guys that are as young and as inexperienced as Bear Bachmeier do one of two things. They pick themselves up, they go and they dominate, and they go win the Big 12 championship. Or he's going to come out really hesitant. He's going to throw a couple of interceptions. He's not going to make good decisions in the RPO. He's going to be hesitant to throw that screen out left, which I told you is one of his worst snaps. And what almost happened on that play against Texas Tech? Jacob Rodriguez was standing there waiting for that football. And if the throw hadn't been so critically bad, that's a pick six, right? We're going to find out who Bear Bachmeier is. My guess is this kid's going to come back a monster. Because you don't go through what he's been through in his life just to get here. You don't wear number 47 as a quarterback and lay down. The kid's going to fight. He is going to be everything that you want him to be. I think he's going to be fine. I think BYU is going to be fine. I believe in their DNA. I believe in their mentality. I know culture is a word we all throw around. I believe in the culture in Provo. I truly do. And I think they're going to be just fine. They are going to be just fine. And I feel like, I just think you have to make some adjustments. You have to find a way to learn from this. Now, let's flip the coin a little bit, because I'm terrified about what I saw from Texas Tech. Baron Morton is not good. And I know everybody's talking about the injury and he's limping around. I'm fine with that. That doesn't fix the decision making. That does not fix the lack of confidence. It doesn't. You can put a fully functioning Baron Morton on that field, and I have no idea what he was looking at on a couple of those plays. Your inability, here's what really worries me about Texas Tech. You have this defense that is elite. And I think we saw all of it. We saw everything on display. I cannot be more impressed with Jacob Rodriguez. I cannot be more impressed with Daly. Romello Height was everything and more that I told you it would be. And your quarterback's rated a 52.5? Wait. Yeah. No, that's not a misprint.
That's actually correct. That's not a misread.
Baron Morton against BYU. And this again, and I know the Texas Tech fan is here to gloat and to celebrate and serve crow, medium rare, totally get it. But you need to look at this game critically, because you won and you played poorly on offense. You were not good offensively. Baron Morton, 37 dropbacks, 17 of 32. 53%. Okay, the leg, the drive, the thing that scares you is the percentage of throws and this is what scares the hell out of you. 26% of his throws were possible interceptions. 26% of his throws were dangerous throws. And 3 of them hit BYU defenders in the hands or hand. And they did not intercept them. and he was rated a 52.5. If I am Joey McGuire, I am absolutely terrified, because this defense has got to play exceptionally well for Texas Tech to move on. And I will never for the life of me understand their red zone struggles when you run the ball as well as they ran the ball, and they beat wholesale ass at the line of scrimmage. They moved BYU off the line of scrimmage and could not score touchdowns in the red zone. Now, I think, again, I'm just going to continue to tell you Isaiah Glasgow is a bad motherfucker, dude. That guy, as many times as I could say it. Jacob Rodriguez, phenomenal football player. I see no difference between Rodriguez and Isaiah Glasgow. I think Glasgow is the finest cut of linebacker in the country. I think he's that good. And I thought the plays that he made, I thought the gutty performance that you saw in the secondary for BYU, who I felt like, I don't know how they were able playing that style of defense. And granted, they gave up 150 yards rushing. That's because they got beat to hell up front. But I just continue, and I will continue to tell you that Raider Dumani making a play in the end zone should have been caught, should have been a touchdown. They had 2 drops and probably 3 that should have been touchdowns, but they weren't. Just the way that Glasgow, I think Tanner Wall was probably your defensive MVP of this game. And I cannot continue to tell you, Sauta'ala is just, I don't know how you can play better football than number 11 for BYU played. And Sauta'ala, Kelly, Glasgow, Wall, Siali Acera, again, this defense is legit, and they're going to keep BYU in the game every single week. Every single week. And what should really worry you if you are Texas Tech, this might be, and I know they won and everybody's celebrating, this might be the second worst performance you've ever seen out of Baron Morton. And you know what I'm going to say was the worst. He was only slightly better in this game than he was against Utah, who's the second best defense he saw. Because this was the best defense he saw this year. And Baron Morton was horrendous. Mm-hmm. Not bad. Not that I struggled a little bit. He was horrendously bad.
Yeah, still found a way not to turn it over. Luckily,
Dude, which might be your best point, because I have no idea.
Because I don't disagree, he played like ass, but he scored a touchdown or threw a touchdown, and I also think that, I also think, to your point, I mean, the running game from Tech was just God, outstanding. So I mean, without that,
but how does Evan Johnson has one pass defended, but he was in position maybe 3 times to intercept a football.
Oh, this could have been way worse. This could have been.
No. And Tech fan, I know you won the game, but I am begging you to understand, you should have probably lost this game because of how bad Baron Morton was. If BYU, and I will die on this hill, if Jake Retzloff was a quarterback at BYU, they win this game by 10 points.
Yeah. But he's not, unfortunately.
He's not. So they didn't. But if you're a Texas Tech fan, today's not the day to be wreck 'em, boy. Pew, pew. Like, okay, you won the game. And your defense is the best defense I've seen next to Texas this year. Baron Morton's a huge problem for this football team. Huge problem. And he's hurt. I totally understand it. I know it. I love it. I get it. But I am telling you right now, Jake, they will not win unless Baron Morton, and I don't know how you change the spots on an old dog because he ain't a pup. I don't know how they win if he continues to play like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not. It's good enough to beat BYU. With all due respect, it's not. His play this weekend and frankly this season is not good enough to beat a team that has an offense capable of scoring on you consistently. If you were playing Indiana's offense, you'd have lost this game by a lot. If you were playing, you know, I mean, even mid-level SEC offense. If you're
playing any of the top 10 offense, if you're playing Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Texas, Georgia, Bama,
look, any of these teams here. So if you're playing Ole Miss, Oregon,
look at did you see the throw by Jacob?
Dude, I'm here for it.
Did you see the throw by Dante Moore?
Listen, I considered wearing Oregon gear on the show today because I have a whole collection now. But I didn't want to be glossed, Oregon or Eugene Jake on the show. So, like good win for Oregon. But that's my point is that if you're playing a team that doesn't have, again, one hand tied behind their back with the offense, because that's my true opinion. I think BYU is only probably, let's be generous and say 60% of what they truly could be because of Bears and experience. And again, crucify me if you want. The mechanics are just trash. Terrible. He has to fix his throwing mechanics if he ever wants to get to the top end. And that's why I say, like, I understand it. The kid's a freshman. I'm not even saying he's terrible. But what I am saying is that in this game, you attempted 38 throws with Bear Bachmeier in this game. Ooh. That is completely unacceptable given Bear Bachmeier's skill level. And the problem is,
I think you went to the half when Satuala makes that play on the sideline to save the touchdown. You went to the half feeling like you had a chance to win this game. And then you just came out and did absolutely nothing.
I disagree. I don't think you had a chance. I don't think you thought you had a chance to win this game at the half. I think you felt like you were lucky to be where you, for sure.
I think BYU's done a really good job this year at halftime adjustments. And the defense got significantly better in the second half.
But this game, the halftime adjustment piece, and this is something we talked about last week. Hey, this team can play from behind, guys. You guys hate BYU. We can come back on. Not against this defense. You can't. Not against defenses that are this capable and this mature and this well run. And I watched the first half and again, to be fair to the rest of the team, incredibly disappointed in Parker Kingston. Incredibly disappointed.
Really tough moment. Really tough moment.
For me personally, like, I get it. Everyone makes mistakes. And I know you said earlier, it doesn't matter if it's a veteran or a rookie. To me personally, it matters because Parker Kingston's been here before. Parker Kingston's a cat that's had that moment before. See the K-State game last year. And you totally just killed any chance you had to get ahead in this game by dropping that kick early in the game. And, you lucked out. Because, again, I maintain you should have been down 14, 17 points in the first quarter, in my opinion.
Oh,
but
easily.
You lucked out.
Easily.
You lucked out because they just didn't convert. So, to me, I agree with your sentiment that, hey, you're still in the game. You still have the opportunity to win the game. But if we're truth telling, you were not, like, I didn't ever feel like Bear Bachmeier was in danger of bombing it over the top or making this defense respect his style of play at this stage in his development. And so that's why I say, like, 7 points like this. And by the way, just for the record, FTR, hey, any flowers for 29 points, not 30 points, as we said last
I thought
week?
about that.
Dude, 29 points, not 30?
Monty, they're going to score 58 points.
I mean, come on, dude.
BYU doesn't give up 30. Yeah, but they're going to score 72 points here, bro.
Come on, bro. We told you on 30 points. So I don't know, dude. Yeah. I think that these two teams had a pretty poor showing, generally speaking, on Saturday. I think Tech left a lot out on the field in terms of optics and how they would be ranked. I felt like BYU had a massive gut check, reality check, slice of humble pie.
Yes.
And now we have to see, because the one thing I am terrified about for Tech is this seemingly red hot upstart West Virginia team that beats teams that they have no business beating. And
Yeah.
you're going to their place to end the year. And by the way, you're a one-loss team right now. So again, you still have to win out after this.
Do you not buy it?
That they'll beat West Virginia?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously I think Tech is going to beat West Virginia, but I think that could be as close a win as it gets. I think, you're not scoring.
That UCF game's no walk in the park, man. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know if Mike Smith is here or not, but their win, now they played some rich rod ball with the hair pulling and getting after, Julian. If you didn't see the Colorado West Virginia game, the hard part was Julian Lewis, the freshman quarterback, who you saw it on display. The kid can really play football. They tried to hurt him. And that I have some bones to pick with that. They pulled it. They tackled him by the hair on one play. They twice rolled into him in the backfield. Like, I didn't love that. But the point is, Rich Rodriguez has West Virginia playing the kind of football game where they're never going to roll over and give up. And they might be down 3 scores. They're not going to quit. And I think it is going to be really interesting to see how that game plays out. I think that UCF is playing some really tough football right now. I believe they won over the weekend, which I think, again, tip of the cap, because why is UCF playing football? I don't know either. Or no, they lost to Houston 30-27, excuse me. But listen, I think that game this Saturday in Lubbock with UCF is going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting. But anyway, here nor there. Where do you guys come down on this? Because I'm already Bo, who is also an Amazon FBA guy and a massive Texas Tech fan.
Mm-hmm.
Sent me a DM.
This ought to be good
on the TikTok talk.
Yeah.
Jerky boy. I'm really heartbroken to hear you sell out for BYU today.
And so it begins.
Do you have no ability to understand that Baron Morton is hurt and he's gaming it for us because we don't have anybody else now? Okay. Baron Morton, I understand he's got this fracture in his leg. Totally get it. But I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat your chances at winning the conference championship and playing in the college football playoff because your starting quarterback has a fractured leg. See Florida State several years ago. This is the game you chose to play, and you have a leg fracture. It sucks. No team is going to be 3 starting quarterbacks deep. That doesn't exist in today's world. Very rarely. You've burned through your first 2, and now your first starting quarterback, who we've been talking about this for the entire season. This is not new. This is not based on what we saw in the BYU game. I've been asking questions about Baron Morton all season long. All season long. And you're seeing the same mistakes. I understand he's a statue. I understand he does not move well. But do you understand that his decision-making is terrible? Like he is throwing the ball. It's one of 2 things. And here we are on November 8th that this game was played. Baron Morton and his wide receivers are not on the same page. He had a guy go up. He threw an out. And it hit, I think, Tanner Wall. It hit somebody right in the chest. They didn't catch it. He had a ball on the sideline that if it's a millimeter less underthrown, that ball's intercepted. Right? Like, you can't excuse just bad decision-making and throwing a ball where a receiver is not. And they won the game, and I totally understand that. But what I am telling you is there are real problems on this offense with Baron Morton as a quarterback, healthy or not. I'm not saying that Texas Tech sucks. I'm keeping it real with you. We're not the Homer show. We're the Truth in Sports radio show. And I'm telling you the truth. The numbers don't lie. My eyes don't lie. And the results don't lie.
Sorry, folks. That's what it is.
And Calford is rich. And the results don't lie. Wow, Calford. Appreciate that, my guy.
Nice.
Thank you. Go Bears, bowl eligible. How about some of those throws? And again, I know this is another thing I've been talking about all year. And we can go round and round about Cal and where Cal is and where Cal should be, but they're 6-4 and 3-3 in the ACC. And beating Louisville on the road is no small feat. And Sagapuatelli, I just will continue to sit here and tell you that kid is going to win a Heisman Trophy. Now, I'd love to see him fire Wilcox, but here nor there. J.K. Sagapuatelli is a stud. 30 of 47, 323, and 2 touchdowns. Just outstanding. And so, and the ball, there are a couple balls off his hand that are just like, how? How does a ball look like that in the air? Like it is, you're not even joking, Calford, and I really appreciate the $50. Thank you. It's incredible. It really is. Kyle J04. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Utes are headed to Waco. And this is a revenge game. And this is that game. Yes. Selling the lead. Thank you for being a member for 23 months. This is that game where we're going to remember Baylor for ending Cam's career at Utah. Because that's essentially what happened. That's essentially what happened. So I think this is a statement game for Morgan in the defense. I really, really do. Utah's got to prove a point. Pete Forte, a member for 24 months. Good morning. Peter, good to see you. Always appreciate you. Let's see. Who's first in today? Chewy Gonzalez. Iowa should have won that game. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. That throw by Dante Moore.
Candies and nuts, bro. And by the way, your kicker's got a set to make that kick.
I don't know what it was about this game for Oregon. Dan Lanning almost cried in the post-game interview. I don't know why. Maybe because he's a bitch. I have no idea. But I only said that because Jake throats Dan Lanning as often as possible.
Sucking a ding dong.
Yeah, cucumber that guy. But my point is, that throw by Dante Moore, I don't know that I've seen a better throw than that all weekend long. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did. In the Indiana game, which we need to talk about. Did you see that throw?
Mm-hmm.
I would like, listen. I don't ask for much, right? I sit here every day. I let your wife stare at me because I'm hot. Like, I don't ask for much. But I want to be recognized as the quarterback guru on the planet Earth. Because what I saw this weekend out of the quarterbacks that I have been Dan Lanning on their cucumbers and stuff.
Such as in like?
The throw by Dante Moore. Does anybody want to talk about what Indiana did to the pedos? And does anybody want to talk about Fernando Mendoza and the throw? That final drive is why he's going to win the Heisman Trophy.
Doesn't get any more red, white, and blue than that.
I mean, this is a kid, speaking of Cal, this is a kid who deserves every damn thing that he has coming to him.
Google me.
Fernando Mendoza, he's the most professional ready quarterback in college football. He is, in my opinion, everything that's right about watching a kid throw a football. He cares. He wants it. He's competitive as hell. And that throw and whatever Whatever Omar Cooper Jr. said to the devil to get him to pull his foot back in bounds, that might be the best pitch and catch I have ever seen in a football game. And that it buried those pedophiles in Happy Ending Valley.
The victory has already been won.
Joe Paterno knew and covered it up. And this is his penance. Because Fernando Mendoza is that guy.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
Fuck
exactly
you.
right. Thank you.
Suck.
Yeah. Get the hell out of here. David Persons, Retzloff, who exactly? Jake, whoa.
Whoa.
Jameson, Jake Retzloff, Heisman play, then interception, story of his career. Well, and it may be. Listen, it may be, but you can't anymore. And I love the BYU fans saying, "Oh, Jake Retzloff got benched. That guy sucks." Well, I mean, they did beat Memphis, who was 8-2. And I know he didn't have a very good game because he only accounted for 375 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Oh, so it turns out he can hoop. Turns out he does know ball.
Are you out of your mind?
Who the f*** is that guy?
332. And you want to talk about an average? 14.4 yards of completion. 332, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 10 carries, 43 yards, and a touchdown.
Any questions?
BYU would be undefeated. They would be legitimate national championship contenders if Jake Retzloff hadn't pounded box in an apartment in Provo.
Yeah, that nonsense in the RPO game against Tech doesn't happen with Retzloff.
No.
He runs that RPO to a T.
Dude, he is. This is not a revelation. I'm happy for that guy because I don't believe what he was accused of actually happened. And I think that kid has lost tens of millions of dollars because of those allegations. And all he did was forget it, flushed it, moved on, went to Tulane, and he is kicking wholesale.
You take you a deuce.
Ass.
You don't sit there and look at it.
I mean, it
Flush
is.
it.
That's
Move
what I'm
on.
saying. He moved on all right.
Hold on. Did your light turn on its own? I'm sorry for pointing this out.
What light?
This light from it. Has the light been on the whole time? Am I just tripping today?
Which
That
yeah,
light, the light that's in front of you, has that one been on the whole time? I feel like it wasn't on at the start of the show.
No, it's what
Maybe I'm just tripping. I don't know. I swore it wasn't on at the beginning of the show.
this.
Yeah,
one
that
right
light.
here.
Yes, that light. Now I got to go back and verify.
It's
I
been
gotta
on
go
the
back.
entire show.
Okay. All right. Maybe I'm just tripping then.
It has been on. Yes, it has been on the entire show. And I say that because when the show started, I had a crazy headache and it was blaring in my face. And I was like, God damn, boy. Now I feel better. The stadium guy, TCU, Dana. The QB guru is Lane Kiffin. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. LOL, Uncle Monty getting ducked up with quack and creatine. Yes, I am. Yes, you guys, come on.
Okay, so we're happy with the progress.
No, I hate it. You know what the cool thing was, though? I did something I swore to Jake I'd never do this weekend. I rode lime scooters. I rode lime scooters all over Seattle
Did
this
you
weekend.
leave those on a freeway entrance ramp as well, or
So you guys know, like those lime scooters you see everywhere. I don't think anybody should ever ride them. We have a balcony that looks down. I live in downtown Seattle right now. We have a balcony that looks down on a very busy street. We watch dudes eat ass all day long on those scooters. And my wife was like, we should do it. We should just rent a Lime bike. And they have these new things called glides. But, for somebody who's no longer 350 pounds, they don't go very fast. So I got on a bicycle. They're amazing. The Lime bicycles, Then I got on one of those scooters, and it's terrifying. And I,
Did you
of
ride it
course,
on the sidewalk?
no. No, Seattle's got bike lanes everywhere. It's amazing. But I wore a helmet and everything. It's terrifying how fast those things go. I lost my train of thought. You want to feel out of control like you're almost going to die? Get on one of those Lime scooters. I'll take a bicycle every single day. But we rode about 20-something miles on the Lime scooters and had a great time doing it. I'll never get on one again, but I'll get on the Lime bicycles. I'm not getting on one of those scooters because I go to work and I'm in the gym and I'm feeling good and I get on the scooter and I'm in full control of it. But dude, you're doing like probably 25 miles an hour on one of those things.
Do you even lift?
Nah, bro. I'm fine. That final drive, first play of it was bad. The rest of it was pure college football magic. Okay. Oregon can run the ball into a first round home game and miss the conference championship game. Wide receivers will be ready for postseason. Dude, they need them. I mean, Dante Moore, you guys, again, as most of you will understand, I am an absolute pimp in every sense of the word. I don't know how Dante Moore is doing it. Because I think he just does not have great wide receiver talent. The best tight end in the country is hurt for them. And I truly do not know with what is going on with them. I have no idea how on earth they are able to throw the football and move the ball the way they are. And you're just not like, Kenyon Sadiq is the best tight end in the country. I don't know that it's close. And he didn't play this weekend, and they still went to Iowa against one of the best defenses in the country and probably the best secondary I've seen this year, and they threw the ball and they won. It's amazing to me.
Hey, Will Stein, you're a stud.
Bro, it's amazing to me. And DeCorian Moore didn't play. DeCorian Moore just didn't play in this game. And you're like, okay, well, you know what? That's fine because Kenyon Sadiq will bail him out. Yeah, nope. Kenyon Sadiq didn't play in this game.
I need to catch the damn ball.
Did not play in this game. And yet they still won. Will Stein, I'm telling you, is the best offensive mind in the country. And I would hire him to be my next head coach. What's that say about Cal for misusing Mendoza for all those years? Nothing good, TJ. Because he is a stud.
Here, hey, TJ, let me fix this for you. What does it say about the ability to transfer and launch your career into the stratosphere by leaving your program? That's what the question is.
Yeah. Yeah. Gumby said it.
Said it.
Your thing's green. Okay. It means Willie Cox needs fired. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Greg Hawkins. So I was talking to a former ESPN friend of mine who may or may not cover the Cubs regularly. He told me not to expect the Cubs to spend a lot of money this winter. He said they're not, because I said, well, you know, Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, and his answer was,
That's a great joke, Monty. That's a great joke, bro. Nice job, dude. Really nice. I thought you mentioned the Cubs and Bryce Harper in the same convo. Do you think Bryce Harper's going to play for that club when Kyle Schwarber allegedly wants nothing to do with them? Come on.